Okay, so I'm back here with my third playoff predictions. This is the final one, and let's just get right into it. So, in the first round of the North Division series between Toronto and Montreal, I have the Toronto Maple Leafs winning it in 5 games. It could go 6, it could even go 7, but I think it's going to end in 5 games. I think Jack Campbell's going to be the starting goalie for the Leafs, and I think he's going to play well. And I think the Leafs offense is going to be doing well. And I just don't see Montreal as a team that can beat a top tier team like Toronto. So this is the series that I went most back and forth on, and you guys could probably tell throughout these videos that I was going back and forth and back and forth, and I finally decided to put Edmonton there in my final predictions. I think they're going to win in 7 games. I think it's going to be a close series, but I think Edmonton will just prevail. They have McDavid, they have Draisaitl. I don't feel confident in their goaltending. Mike Smith has been good this year, but who knows? But I'll take them in 7. This is one series that I could have as a sweep, but Nashville played Carolina good this year, and I just I wouldn't put a lot of emphasis on the regular season, but I do put a little bit, considering this division hasn't played in a week and they're not gonna play for a couple more days. So it's not like a big deal that Nashville, if Nashville would have went undefeated against Carolina, I probably would have still picked Carolina, but I have Carolina in 6. So here's one that really switched. I don't really know why I was picking Tampa. They are a good team, sure, and they're bringing back Kucherov and Stamkos, but Stamkos, I don't know the last time he played exactly, but Kucherov hasn't played since last year's playoffs. And I get that he practiced and stuff, but he's not going to come back the same right away. He's going to take 4, maybe 5 games, and at that point, Florida might have won 2 or 3 of those games. And I just see Florida taking this series, especially because the goaltending in Florida has been pretty good this year. So in this series, I picked the Islanders. Pittsburgh finished with the highest record in this division, but they haven't won a playoff game in 2 years. I know they're the Pittsburgh Penguins with Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, and they've brought in some new pieces that have helped them a lot. But they haven't won a playoff game in 2 years. And 2 years ago, they got swept by the New York Islanders. Like, I just can't see them winning this series. They haven't won a playoff game in 2 years. Last year, they didn't actually make the real playoffs. So now I have the Bruins beating the Capitals, and I see this in 6 games. The last one was I would have said 7. The one before I would have said 7. This one's 6. I just think I don't know why I can't see the Capitals winning. They haven't done good in recent playoffs, and Boston is just a playoff team. So I think Boston will win it in 6. So next up, I have the Avs beating the Blues in 5 games. The Blues did not have a good year at all. I think they're kind of fading out of their window here, and Colorado's just getting into their window, and I feel like they're a really strong team, and there's no chance they lose to the St. Louis Blues. So this was a really hard one for me. A lot of people are convincing me that Minnesota is gonna win, so I'm taking Minnesota. It's going to be really hard for them to do it, but they have a good defense. They're going to need insane goaltending, and they're going to need a top line, or just they're just going to need offense from out of nowhere. Kirill Kaprizov can't do it all by himself, so they're going to just need offense from random people. So I'm going to start the third round up in the East, and I'm going to go with Boston over the Islanders in 6 games. I feel like this would be a really close series, but I think Boston would come out on top and win that division, or make it out of that division, not win the division. The Penguins won the division in the regular season. Boston wins the division in the playoffs, and they move on to the third round. So now I'll go to the West, where I have the Colorado Avalanche beating the Minnesota Wild in 5 games. I don't see Minnesota really putting up a challenge here. Um, I just say that Colorado is better in every aspect: defense, offense, goaltending, depth, power play. Maybe not penalty kill. Who knows? I don't really know the numbers for their penalty kills, but I just see Colorado being better in every way, so I don't think that Minnesota can come out on top. So in the North, I have Toronto beating the Oilers in 6 games. Toronto really well, like they did really well shutting down the Oilers this year, and so maybe this ends in fives. Who know? Who knows? But I just see it going to 6. I think McDavid and Draisaitl could push that to at least 6. I can't talk, but I think it's going to end in 6, and the Leafs will go to the semifinals. So out of the Central, I have the Florida Panthers beating the Carolina Hurricanes. I think they'll beat them in 6 or 7 games. I'm going to say 7. Carolina is very good defensively, but the Florida Panthers have just done special things this year. When I watch them, they got just these set plays that are so nice, and I think that's how they'll beat the Carolina Hurricanes. Maybe they adjust though. Maybe the Carolina Hurricanes adjust to their set plays and beat them in 7, but I just don't see that happen. So I have this reseeded, and I have Boston beating the Colorado Avalanche. That's big, but I think they will do that. I think they will upset them, and I think they'll go on to the finals. I think they'll win in 7. Boston has been one of the hottest teams since the trade deadline, and I think that Taylor Hall pickup really helped them. It because their third line is now probably the top third line in the NHL. They have maybe the best top 6 in the NHL. It just all comes down to their defense. Jeremy Swayman has been one of the hottest goalies. He has the best save percentage in the NHL. Sure, he's only played 10 games, but he's still playing insanely good. If he can keep that going, I can see them going to the final. Don't ask me why the Leafs are in the finals, because I don't fucking know. But I think if it comes down to it, the Leafs will go back to the Muzzin Brody pairing, or maybe they put Hall with Brody, and that just becomes their shutdown pairing, and it shuts down the Florida Panthers, plays 25 minutes a night, and they just dominate out there and don't let the Florida Panthers get through. Because all you got to really worry about is their top 6. Their bottom 6, you if you have Muzzin and Brody out there the whole time against their top 6, which would be extremely hard to do, they'd be playing so many minutes. But if you can do that, get them out there 75% of the time, then you can put Muzzin and Brody, or Muzzin and Riley, or Muzzin and Sandine, someone that can still shut the other team down, and you can just play them against the third line, and then you can have Morgan Riley run free as an offensive defenseman. And their offense is just crazy good. I just don't see Florida being able to stop that, especially without Aaron Ekblad. In the Stanley Cup Finals, I have the Boston Bruins beating the Toronto Maple Leafs to win the 2021 Stanley Cup, and I have them winning in 6 games. Could go to 7, could be a comeback win in Game 7. But I think Boston will win. I think they'll recognize that the window is closing, and I think they'll just give all they have left. Bergeron and Marchand mainly. Those are the guys that are getting up there in age, and who knows how long they have left to be a Stanley Cup contender. So I feel like they'll play their hearts out and they will win. They won't choke. Boston has been a clutch team for a while now, and I think they will finally get the first cup since 2011 after being one of the top teams for so long and not winning for 10 years.